Blackhead prevention works best when it is gentle, steady, and realistic, because blackheads usually form slowly as oil, dead skin cells, sweat, leftover product, and everyday friction collect around the opening of the pore over time. So the smartest goal is not to attack the skin, but to keep it calmer, cleaner, and less congested without creating fresh irritation. A simple routine is often more effective than an exciting one. Cleanse the face in the morning and again at night with a mild cleanser and lukewarm water, because very hot water can strip the skin barrier and leave the face feeling tight, dry, and more reactive. Use your fingertips rather than rough scrubs, stiff cleansing brushes, or abrasive cloths, because blackhead-prone skin usually responds better to calm handling than to aggressive rubbing. If you sweat after exercise, yard work, housework, hot weather, or a long day under sunscreen and makeup, it helps to rinse or cleanse the skin as soon as practical, because sweat mixed with oil and residue can sit on the skin and add to that heavy, clogged feeling. Avoid squeezing, scraping, pinching, digging, or trying to force blackheads out at home, because that often causes more redness, swelling, irritation, lingering marks, and regret than the original blackheads ever caused. Choose non-comedogenic products whenever possible, including moisturizer, sunscreen, makeup, and hair products, especially if your hair touches your forehead, temples, or cheeks. A lightweight moisturizer can help, because skin that becomes too dry often becomes irritated, and irritated skin makes people impatient, and impatient people are exactly the ones most likely to stand too close to a bathroom mirror and start making decisions they would not defend the next morning. If you use over-the-counter acne care, it is usually smarter to begin slowly with one well-chosen active ingredient instead of layering several strong treatments at once. Salicylic acid may help keep pores clearer, and adapalene may help reduce clogged pores over time. But patience matters more than panic. Improvement usually comes from steady use over time, not from one dramatic weekend of treating your face like a chemistry experiment. Remove makeup before bed. Change pillowcases regularly. Clean the things that touch your face often, like phone screens, eyeglass frames, hat bands, and helmet straps. Keep heavier oils and styling products away from acne-prone skin when you can. Try not to rest your face in your hands for long stretches while reading, thinking, worrying, driving, scrolling, or politely listening to a story that should have ended 15 minutes ago. Stress management matters too, not because stress alone causes every blackhead, but because stress often leads to poor sleep, rushed cleansing, more face touching, more picking, skipped routines, and the kind of late-night bathroom behavior that always feels strangely productive until daylight arrives with a very different opinion. Diet does not need to become a courtroom trial, but hydration, regular meals, moderation, and decent sleep support better daily habits overall. If blackheads are stubborn, widespread, mixed with inflamed acne, or simply not improving despite a sensible routine, professional guidance may save time and frustration. Prevention is rarely glamorous. It usually looks like repeating calm habits, reducing friction, choosing products the skin can tolerate, and remembering that steady care beats dramatic interference most of the time, and that same principle, the principle that not every small thing has to be squeezed, prodded, corrected, or announced like a 4-alarm emergency, would have saved Howard Ellis Dunbar of Juniper Ridge Estates in Arizona. A breathtaking amount of public foolishness. If anyone had explained it to him before the evening, he accidentally became the emergency host of the community game show fundraiser and was forced to moderate a live contest involving casseroles, costume hats, and a buzzer shaped like a chicken. Howard, who everyone called Howie except his dentist and one irritated cousin in Tulsa, was 78 years old and retired after 41 years as a county procurement officer, which meant he had spent most of his adult life examining forms, comparing prices, and distrusting enthusiasm. He lived with his wife, Shirley, in a low, sandy-colored duplex with a tiny cactus garden, a hummingbird feeder, and a kitchen drawer so organized that visitors felt morally inadequate after opening it. Shirley was 74, a retired reading specialist, with a laugh that arrived warm and quick, and a gaze that could quietly inform a man he was being foolish, while still making him feel married instead of judged. They had been together 53 years, which meant Shirley could identify, purely from the way Howie set down a coffee mug, whether he was about to complain about municipal parking, soup labels, or the decline of extension cord standards. Juniper Ridge Estate sat on the edge of Tucson, where the evening sky went orange like a promise, and everybody claimed they had moved there for peace, but then joined 6 committees, 3 card groups, and 1 neighborhood chat thread that functioned like a small newspaper with feelings. There was cornhole on Mondays, line dancing on Tuesdays, lecture club on Wednesdays, movie night on Thursdays, and on the last Saturday of every month, the social committee held a themed fundraiser in the clubhouse so the residents could support whatever needed supporting, while also arguing politely over brownies. This month's event was the annual Stump the Neighbors Night, a homemade game show evening in which residents formed teams, answered trivia, played tiny challenge rounds, and generally behaved as if the fate of Western civilization depended on whether Edna from Unit 14 knew the capital of Nebraska. Howie hated Stump the Neighbors Night because, in his words, quiz shows are what happen when small talk gets a scoreboard. Shirley loved it because it was exactly the right amount of ridiculous. She liked watching otherwise serious adults wear foam cowboy hats, miss obvious answers, and blame the buzzer. The regular host, a cheerful former radio salesman named Artie Bloom, treated the evening like he was emceeing the state fair. Artie had the kind of shiny voice that made everything sound either exciting or sponsored. He used catchphrases, hand gestures, and too much shoulder. Howie claimed to dislike him, which Shirley had long ago identified as one of the ways Howie concealed admiration. He talks like a fireworks display, Howie would say at breakfast. And yet you quote him every time he says, "Let's make it interesting," Shirley would reply. Howie's 3 closest friends in Juniper Ridge were Paul Jensen, 79, retired plumber, hard of hearing in one ear and dramatic in both; Lenora Brooks, 73, former church administrator with excellent shoes and a devastating whisper; and Frank Castleberry, 80, widower, retired bus driver, owner of 3 bolo ties and a laugh like a pickup truck starting on a cold morning. The trouble began on a Saturday afternoon when Howie agreed to just help carry tables. That phrase has ruined more peaceful retirements than sugar ever has. The social committee was set, and of 41 Asians. He was setting up the clubhouse when Shirley said, "Come along, they need 2 extra hands." Howie replied, "I am not volunteering, I am transporting furniture with temporary civic intent." Shirley nodded. "That's fine, I'll put that on your headstone." At the clubhouse, the place was already buzzing with prep. Folding tables were being covered in red cloths. Score sheets were stacked. The snack table was filling with brownie trays, cheese crackers, and enough ranch dip to satisfy a county fair. On the little stage at the front, the host lectern stood beside a large cardboard sign reading "Stump the Neighbors," with a painted cactus wearing glasses. Denise Larkin, the event coordinator, floated around with a headset she did not need and a clipboard she absolutely did. Denise was 68, formerly a wedding planner, and had the sort of bright, unkillable optimism usually associated with camp directors and weather-resistant florists. "Howie!" she cried when she saw him. Perfect timing. He stopped immediately. "No, No what? I know your tone. Artie's car broke down on Speedway. He may be late. That sounds like a transportation issue, and I am deeply sympathetic to his axle or whatever, but I fail to see my role. Denise smiled in the dangerous way only very organized women can. You've got a clear voice. You're funny without trying. You know everybody's name. Just stand in until Artie gets here. Howie nearly dropped the folding chair he was carrying. Absolutely not. Paul, hearing only selected keywords, called from across the room. What's that? He's hosting? Lenora put one hand over her mouth and said, Oh, now we're alive. Frank laughed so hard he had to brace himself against the beverage cooler. Shirley folded a stack of napkins and watched her husband with the fond serenity of a woman who knew the wave had already passed over the sand. You'll be fine, she said. That is exactly what people say right before a bridge collapses. Denise pressed the microphone into his hand before he could formulate a second legal objection. Just welcome, folks, and stall. Artie's only 15 minutes out, but 15 minutes is a dangerous measurement when retirees, raffle baskets, and baked goods are involved. By 6 o'clock, the room was full. Teams had formed. Name cards sat on tables. The Desert Smarty, Pants, Route 66, and counting, Hot Flash of Genius, the Cactus Guessers, and one team of 4 widows calling themselves the Women Who Remember Everything. Shirley sat with Lenora, Mabel Ortiz, and June Talbot under the team named the Dusty Bookmarks. Paul and Frank sat together under a sign that said "Not Dead Yet," which Denise had tried unsuccessfully to veto. Howie stood behind the lectern, notes in one hand, microphone in the other, and looked like a man being asked to officiate a wedding he did not approve of. He cleared his throat. The room quieted. Good evening, he said. I have been informed that I am your temporary host due to transportation failures elsewhere in the system. The room laughed immediately. Denise, hiding behind the raffle table, pointed at him excitedly as if she had discovered a resource in the desert. Howie went on. My instructions are unclear. The chicken buzzer concerns me, and I am already against any round involving charades. But we will proceed. The room loved him. This was the first problem. People laughed harder for Howie than they did for Artie, because Howie sounded like a man drafting emergency procedures for nonsense, and older Americans instinctively trust annoyed competence. He introduced the teams with dry sincerity. At Table 1, the Women Who Remember Everything, which I assume is a threat. At Table 3, Not Dead Yet, a team name that does lower the suspense somewhat. And here, the Dusty Bookmarks, who appear organized enough to audit us if needed. Shirley shook her head and laughed into her score pencil. The first round went smoothly enough. State capitals, old movie songs, famous dessert ingredients, and the names of 1960s television horses. Howie read the questions briskly and judged disputes with the dry firmness of a man who had once denied purchase orders for decorative staplers. Then came the speed round. Denise wheeled out the infamous chicken buzzer, a ridiculous yellow thing with a rubber beak that honked when pressed. Artie usually played this for camp. Howie stared at it like it was evidence in an unnatural trial. Is this sanitary? He asked. Emotionally, no, Lenora called out. But don't worry, Paul washed his hands this decade. The room broke again. The speed round involved naming grocery items by smell, which had been Denise's idea and immediately proved unstable. Someone confused cinnamon with taco seasoning. Someone else identified vanilla as holiday medicine. Paul buzzed in on oregano and answered garage dust, which Frank claimed was unfairly close. Howie attempted order. One answer at a time. Do not crowd the beak. Ma'am, yelling paprika after the buzzer is not a legal strategy. At this point, it became obvious Artie was not making it at all. Denise got a text, read it, and visibly deflated. Then she squared her shoulders. as the truly dangerous organizers do, and made the fatal decision not to tell Howie until the break had passed. The second round was called Mystery Objects, where cloth bags held household items to be identified by touch. This is the sort of round people invent when they have both free time and no respect for entropy. It started well. Team 1 identified a clothespin. Team 2 recognized a whisk. Then Frank reached into the bag, touched a potato masher, and shouted, "That's definitely a back scratcher from church camp," which caused 5 straight minutes of chaos because Paul insisted church camp would never allow such a thing, and Lenora said very quietly, "Not officially." Howie tried to restore order by tapping the microphone and saying, "People, this is not a federal hearing." Naturally, that made everything worse, because now everyone was laughing too hard to touch the mystery objects with dignity. Denise finally approached and whispered the news. Artie was fully out. Tow truck. Alternator. No rescue coming. Howie closed his eyes for one brief second. "So this is my life now?" "Just until cake." That is not comforting. But he kept going, because once a man like Howie has accepted responsibility in public, he would rather perish than leave the structure half-finished. The third round was the one that destroyed the evening in the best possible way. Denise had invented something called culinary confidence, where teams were shown unlabeled dishes from the dessert table and had to guess key ingredients. It was already a bad idea. It became worse because someone, almost certainly Mabel, had misread the sign-up instructions and brought what she called savory peach lasagna, which was neither a lasagna nor a peacekeeping force, and had become the kind of mystery dish people whispered about at Card Club. Howie lifted the foil, stared at the steaming tray, and said into the microphone, "All right, before we begin, I would like it entered into the record that this pan has created uncertainty." The room howled. Denise whispered, "Ask the teams what they think is in it." "Why?" "Because that's the round." Howie took a breath. Table 3 identified 2 ingredients in this event. Paul leaned forward, sniffed theatrically, and said, "Regret and canned fruit," Frank added. "Possibly ambition." Shirley covered her mouth with both hands. The dusty bookmarks were laughing too hard to function. Lenora finally managed, "Peaches and shredded cheddar?" "Cheddar?" cried 3 people at once. Mabel stood up in moral outrage from the crowd. "It is not cheddar! It is Colby Jack, and none of you deserve food." The room collapsed. Denise had to sit on the edge of the stage. Even the women who remembered everything had tears rolling down their faces. Howie, seeing the full absurdity at last, stepped back from the lectern, pointed at the pan, and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have moved beyond game territory and entered constitutional law." That line finished them. One woman snorted lemonade through her nose. Paul hit the chicken buzzer by accident, and it honked into the laughter like an alarmed goose. From then on, the evening no longer belonged to any official plan. It belonged to Howie, the room, and the growing understanding that everybody was having far more fun than any of them had expected. He started improvising. He introduced the raffle as the phase of the evening where luck pretends to be policy. He told the table nearest the fan that no answer shouted from a draft would be counted. When one gentleman argued that raisins counted as nuts, socially, Howie said, "Sir, that is the most alarming sentence I have heard since 6:30. The room adored him, not because he was polished. He wasn't. Artie had flair. Howie had exasperated civic authority, which turned out to be funnier because it felt real. People stopped waiting for the game and started waiting for his reactions to the game. At one point, when Denise accidentally handed him the wrong score sheet and Team Hot Flash of Genius was awarded 6 points for identifying a muffin tin, Howie peered over his glasses and said, "I am willing to accept many things tonight. phantom muffin points are not among them. The applause nearly delayed the next round. Then came the hat challenge. Denise had placed a basket of costume hats by the stage for tiebreakers. A cowboy hat with sequins, a foam Statue of Liberty crown, a giant tomato cap, a pirate tricorn, and one floppy velvet chicken hat no human face should ever approach willingly. The tiebreaker question between two tables was simple enough. First team to name 5 pie flavors wins. But before the question even finished, Paul buzzed, yelled pecan, and knocked the hat basket with his elbow. The whole thing tipped, and the chicken hat sailed through the air in a lazy, impossible arc before landing squarely on Howie's head. For one suspended second, nobody breathed. Then Shirley made a sound like a kettle giving up, and the room detonated. Denise fell against the stage curtain. Frank could not remain seated. Lenora slapped the table with both palms. Even Mabel, still defending the peach lasagna at emotional range, had to turn away to recover. Howie stood there in the velvet chicken hat, holding the score pad and microphone like a man who had been personally betrayed by textiles. He slowly reached up, touched one floppy red comb, and said, "No." That single word brought the room down harder than anything else had. Because once a crowd understands that a serious man has finally been overtaken by absurdity in full public view, affection becomes unstoppable. People chanted for him to keep it on. Denise gasped, "Please, please leave it, just for the question." Paul yelled, "Host privilege!" Shirley, tears in her eyes, managed to say, "Howard, you look like organized poultry." He closed his eyes, and in that half second he crossed the line from resisting the room to joining it. He kept the hat on. "Fine," he said, "but let the record show this was not achieved through consent." The room stood and applauded. The tiebreaker proceeded in total hysteria. The teams shouted cherry, apple, pecan, lemon meringue, chess, peach, key, lime, coconut cream. The chicken hat flopped every time Howie turned his head. He tried to remove it twice, and both times the crowd booed until he put his hand back down. When the winning team was declared, he held up the score sheet and said, "Congratulations, you have defeated both reason and millinery." By the end of the evening, everyone wanted a photo with him. Denise announced the raffle winners. Artie phoned in from the tow truck, and after hearing what happened, said over speakerphone, "Never invite me back, they've upgraded." The charity total exceeded the previous years by several $100s because, according to one donor card, whoever the angry chicken host is, keep him. Afterward, while people packed leftovers and swapped stories already growing larger, Howie finally removed the hat and set it on the lectern with the tenderness of a man placing down a snake. Shirley came up beside him, carrying a tray of lemon bars. "Well?" she asked. "Well, what? How are you feeling?" He looked out at the room, people smiling, Denise still laughing, Paul imitating the chicken honk, Frank explaining phantom muffin points to a couple from Building B, Mabel telling 3 listeners that the peach lasagna had in fact won praise in 2004, if people had any memory at all. "Tired," he said. Then, after a second, slightly assaulted by fun, Shirley kissed his cheek. "You were wonderful." "I was trapped by chaos and poultry." "Yes, and you were wonderful in it." The next morning, Juniper Ridge woke up with a new folk hero. The clubhouse bulletin board had a handwritten sign reading, "Stump the Neighbor's Champion of Order," accompanied by a quick marker sketch of a chicken in glasses. Someone left a little rubber rooster on Howie's porch. The dusty bookmarks won the official game by a narrow margin, but nobody mentioned that half as much as they mentioned the line about constitutional law. At coffee, Paul greeted him by clucking once, and almost had to leave the room from laughing at his own bravery. Denise begged him to co-host next month's trivia mixer. He said no so quickly that even the coffee seemed offended. Yet the strangest part, and the one that unsettled him most, was that he had enjoyed a disastrous amount of it. Not the chicken hat exactly, not the peach lasagna, not the microphone squeal at the start, but the room, the energy, the laughter, the ease that had arrived only after he stopped trying to preserve his dignity like it was crystal in a moving truck. On Tuesday evening, he and Shirley sat on their screened porch with iced tea while the desert sky faded to bruised violet and the little lights by the clubhouse came on one by one. A mockingbird somewhere nearby was working far harder than anyone had asked. The chicken hat, which Denise had shoved into Shirley's tote for memory, sat on the porch table between them like a legal warning. After a while, Shirley said, "You know what I liked best?" Howie looked at the hat and sighed. "That there are too many possible answers? No. My favorite part was the moment you stopped trying not to look ridiculous." He smiled despite himself. That was not a strategic choice. That's why it mattered. He rocked the porch chair once, slow and thoughtful. "I kept trying to keep control of the room, yes. Then the room won." "No," she said gently. "The room invited you in." He was quiet. Then he said, "You know, it's not so different from skin." Shirley laughed before he finished the thought. "No, absolutely not. You are not connecting blackheads to the chicken hat." "Why not?" "Same principle. People see a small problem and start squeezing, scrubbing, poking, overdoing, overreacting, and often make it worse. Better to be steady, gentle, and stop before the whole thing becomes a public event." She laughed so hard she had to put her glass down. "Howard, you have built a full bridge between dermatology and game show poultry. I'm not saying the situations are identical. You never do. That's what makes this worse." He shrugged. "Still true." "Annoyingly," she said, wiping her eyes. "Yes, and maybe that is the real connection between preventing blackheads and getting through ordinary life without wearing yourself out. Not every small flaw needs to be squeezed. Not every irritation improves under pressure. Not every little problem deserves a bigger reaction just because it feels urgent in the moment. Sometimes the wiser answer is gentler, slower, steadier, and less dramatic. Clean what needs cleaning. Reduce the friction. Keep the routine simple. Do enough and then stop. And if the hat still lands, if the buzzer still honks, if the peach lasagna still enters the room like a legal argument with cheese, then laugh, keep going, and let the thing become a story instead of a wound. Howie Mercer never became carefree in any permanent or saintly sense. He still distrusted novelty hats, still believed score sheets should have stronger paper, and still maintained that snack tables should be arranged with more respect for traffic flow. But after the Saturday, he accidentally became the emergency host of Stump the Neighbors, and discovered that a room full of laughing seniors could love him not despite his dry seriousness, but partly because of it. He carried his dignity a little looser, his wife's insight a little more gratefully, and his own urge to overmanage with much less authority than before. For a man like Howie, that was real progress, and for Juniper Ridge, it was even better, because it became one of those stories older Americans tell over lemonade, brownies, paper plates, and folding chairs. A story about marriage, community, embarrassment, laughter, and the comforting truth that people can still surprise themselves long after they think every useful part of their character has already been labeled, sorted,